Israel claims joint US missile launch in Mediterranean for target practice. This is out Russia Today. Israel says it's carried out a joint US missile launch in the Mediterranean, having earlier claimed ignorance. Russian radars detected 2 ballistic rockets fired in the region on Tuesday, sparking widespread speculation over who was behind the launch. So first of all, the US and Israel are doing missile tests in the most tension-fraught region of the world right now, firing missiles in the direction, threatening to provoke a war. It's a dangerous act of provocation and it should be condemned. You know, imagine if Syria fired missiles in the direction of Israel. Everyone would be completely frothing out how irresponsible it was, how much of a dangerous escalation it was, and holding it up as another reason to topple Assad. But when Israel does it, they get a free pass. You know, look at how everybody freaked out when North Korea last tested their missiles. So again, it's a double standard, a complete act of provocation, but Israel gets a free pass when they do it. But secondly, it was interesting to watch the denials, because at first Israel came out they had anything to do with it, shortly followed by the US, who also denied any involvement in this incident. Of course, later, Israel acknowledged that they were behind the ballistic missile test with technical support from the US Defense Department. So again, you know, you can tell they're lying because their lips are moving. But again, it's another dangerous provocation. And it seems to me, and this is the speculation, that the delay in admitting that they were behind it was a means of testing what Syria's response would be if that was a real attack, which of course could happen as soon as next week. So they're playing games out there in the Mediterranean, the most tension-fraught region of the world, on the eve of war, testing missiles, potentially provoking war. Compare that to what would have happened if Syria did the same thing. First Syria rebels armed and trained by CIA on way to battlefield, reports The Telegraph. The first cell of Syrian rebels trained and armed by the CIA is making its way to the battlefield, President Barack Obama has reportedly told senators. During a meeting at the White House, the president assured Senator John McCain that after months of delay, the US was meeting its commitment to back moderate of the opposition. So you mean the moderate elements of the opposition who publicly swore allegiance to Jabhat al-Nusra, who in turn publicly swore allegiance to al-Qaeda terrorists. Talking about those kind of moderates. You're talking about the moderate elements who have videos up on YouTube proudly merging with Jabhat al-Nusra terrorists in Aleppo, merging with the same group that killed US troops in Iraq. Or do you mean the moderate elements of the opposition who cut people's internal organs out and eat them on camera? You're talking about those moderates. Or the moderates who sing the praises of Osama bin Laden, the moderates who behead babies, the moderates who force children to behead other people, the moderates who slaughter Christians and pillage their church in Syria. These are the kind of moderates we're talking about. And now the CIA has sent 50 basically al-Qaeda terrorists that they trained in Jordan to join the other terrorists to take the opportune moment to overtake all the military bases when they launch the attack next week. And it's all paid for with your taxpayer dollars. Moving on, Syria's chemical weapons turn out to be sodium fluoride used in the US water supply. This is Mike Adams, nationalnews.com. And of course, this is an issue we first drew attention to on Sunday when it first came out. It concerns these shipments of chemical weapons ingredients which were sent by a British company to Syria. Of course, the UK government denies involvement, just as they denied giving Saddam Hussein the chemical weapons. But what were in these chemical weapons ingredients? Sodium fluoride and potassium fluoride. The same ingredients that our health authorities put in our water, food, and toothpaste. So as Mike Adams documents in this article, sodium fluoride is an ingredient for chemical weapons, and you're ingesting it on a daily basis. Next up, New York Times cuts references to AIPAC in Syria debate. The New York Times had an article in which they discussed the Israeli lobby's influence on the congressional authorization to attack Syria, and they cut out 2 whole paragraphs that referred to AIPAC as the 800-pound gorilla. This was the key excerpt that was cut from the article. Quote, administration officials say the influential pro-Israel lobby group AIPAC was already at work for pressing military action against the government of Assad. And it went on to say that these Obama administration officials, insiders, are talking about AIPAC as the 800-pound gorilla in the room, because obviously they're lobbying Congress to support this attack on Syria. So this passage was removed from the New York Times article, which most likely in alliance with AIPAC does not want the American people to know that their Congress members are being aggressively pressured by the Israeli lobby to greenlight the attack on Syria next week. Moving on to other news, Harvard research shows guns don't kill people, people kill people. This is out of Zero Hedge. In an inconvenient truth moment for the anti-gun lobby, Harvard's Don Cates and Gary Mauser have found that there is in fact a, quote, negative correlation between violence and gun ownership. Quote, where firearms are most dense, violent crimes are lowest, and where guns are least dense, violent crime rates are highest. And they concluded in this study that the burden of proof rests on the more guns equal more death and fewer guns equal less death mantra, especially since they argue public policy ought to be based on that mantra. But those correlations are not observed when a large number of nations are compared across the world. So yet another detailed, exhaustive study, academic study out of Harvard proving more guns, less crime. I think it's safe to say that we've won the Second Amendment debate until the likes of Piers Morgan, of course, exploit another mass shooting incident. But you can go and read the full academic study proving that an armed population reduces crime at prisonplanet.com. Quote of the day comes from Charles Ruff. Impeachment is not a remedy for private wrongs. It's a method of removing someone whose continued presence in office would cause grave danger to the nation.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happened.
So check it out, Infowars.com/show.